whatever you want.
Hey Revelstoke, how's it going? This is Councillor Aaron Orlando. Doing my monologue in the echoey room here, David. This is really tough. I feel like the Queen on Christmas Day with the one-way conversation there. So I'm not going to hold you up from your presents and everything. I'll try and get right down to it. David's taking a photo of me. Can I smile? There we go. Awesome. Good job. So I was thinking last night, what am I going to talk about today? And prior to the election, the thing that I talked about the most myself was communication. We got to get out there, we got to be accessible, we got to talk to people, all the good stuff about communication. So I'm going to put a plug in, at least for myself, and I know a lot of the other city councillors and the mayor are active as well. For me, what I use a lot is my Facebook page, which is Aaron Orlando, Revelstoke City Council. I've really, especially in the past couple months, been trying to do more updates about what's going on every day, just sort of the day-to-day business. And really, one of the things I want it to be is at least my way of connecting with people if they have an issue or a concern. I've noticed that council gets a lot of emails at our council email, which is council@revelstoke.ca. And that's great. It's a great way to hit us all up. But one of the ways that I think that residents can have sort of a more direct way to communicate with city councillors is to figure out whose portfolio is what. So for example, I'm the chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Committee. Just yesterday in this room, the last meeting I had was sort of a stakeholder there who just wanted to talk about a few things, and it's good to get a hold of the person directly. You can go onto the city website and sort of find out which councillor is in charge of what. So if you want to talk about like a budget issue or something to do with finances, Councillor Linda Nixon's the chairperson of the Finance Committee, for example, or if it's a development related thing, Councillor Scott Dukes, the chairperson of the Development Committee. Lots of different committees that you can sort of hunt down the councillor and contact them. For me, just message me on the Facebook page directly. And I would encourage you to follow it, because what I've been really trying to do, especially in the past couple months, as I said before, is just sort of give people an idea of what I do every day. Oftentimes, it's, for example, the last one I was out at the Revelstoke District Humane Society's meeting on the weekend, talking with those guys, and they threw an open house. Last week we were doing some interviews for the Stoke Youth Network, which is part of the Youth Advisory Committee, which I sit on over there. I got something about backyard chickens. I know when I went to UBCM, I was doing quite a few posts every day about what was happening down there, resolutions on the floor, and just sort of trying to give people a flavor of what I do. So I encourage you to follow it and send me a direct message there. And same thing with a lot of the councillors. David, who do you think is the most active councillor on Facebook so far?
Linda Nixon.
Linda Nixon, I was going to say that for sure. I post anything, she's all over it with a like, and she's really far out there, and that's something that a lot of councillors are doing, is really trying to be accessible. So I guess to summarize, for communications, always feel free to get a hold of the councillor who is responsible for something. If you have an issue or a concern, we're really trying to be receptive and help you out on issues. And of course, if you have sort of city-related business, all the city staff are really warm and welcoming, and that's about it for the Queen monologue today. I really like the back and forth better. If you have any questions for me, David, I'm more than willing to answer them. I do way better than that. The room starts to echo, and then it's your voice in the ears and stuff. So, any questions?
Well, you may not be able to answer this, but what's your assessment of what's happening with the Highway Plaza?
The Highway Plaza. Tough questions right away. Like I posted on my Revelstoke City Councillor Facebook page, we had a great public hearing where we had a lot of good dialogue and a lot of input from community members, and I was really happy that we are there and we're able to dialogue really well and hear people really clearly as to what's going on. I think for myself, I know it's a really hard one for council. In every individual councillors, it's, I perceive there's a split, and I think everyone does, and it's pretty, there's a lot of people really for it, and there's a lot of people who have really strong feelings against it. So right now, what we're doing is trying to sort through that and come through it. And I know there's a lot of dialogue going on about where to go from here. But I guess my take, if I have to summarize it, it's a really difficult one because people feel really strongly about this issue this way or that way.
One of my impressions is that this is really the tip of an iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need some dialogue and some thinking about, some clear thinking about, and creative thinking about development in general here in Revelstoke.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where some of this I think comes from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Like what?
Do you think? Pardon?
What other sort of development issues? Like everything that's.
Well, I think just in terms of
big
economic development, you know,
mm-hmm.
we seem to we have the good old standbys, CPR and Downey
mm-hmm.
and HMC, but tourism is an increasingly important component of the local economy.
Yeah.
But is tourism the kind of thing that is really going to help underpin Revelstoke's economy?
Well, I guess I have two thoughts on that. Number one, everyone. I think we need a diverse economy, so I think we need to encourage everything, and I don't think that one thing needs to come at the expense of another. I think sometimes there's some challenges there, but growing a bigger tourist economy and growing a forest economy, for example, two big parts of our economy, or the many other sectors out there, you can do both at the same time. So. I don't spend a lot of time on that particular debate. Tourism is a lower paying sector, as everyone knows, but the more the merrier on diversification. And the second thing, and this is a strong personal opinion that I have, is I've really tried to pay attention to population projections for Revelstoke. We sort of had, it's sort of over now, but I think sort of 4 or 5 years ago we were arguing about, are we going to be 20,000 people or 10,000 people or 5,000 people? For me, the statistics that the provincial government keeps in their projections is pretty clear, and that is, we're gonna, struggle to maintain our population. So that guides me, until I see something different, like way more people living here, obviously, or way fewer people. I think that's the direction we're going to go, and I think what the policies you need to adopt is to continue moving forward with developing a diverse economy, everything that you can, because as soon as you start sliding backwards in population, you run into trouble. And let's not forget, people pass on, and kids who graduate from high school often leave the community, and we have to replace both of those numbers in order to keep our population up. So I just, call me wrong in the future, but I just think we're going to have to do everything we can to maintain the population. And if we suddenly grow, well, we can adjust way beyond what we thought we wanted to, then we can adjust course as we see that happen. But I haven't seen that happening in the 7.5 years I've been here.
No. It's if you back and you look at the Canada Census numbers over the last 20 years, it's been a steady decline, and yet there's a surprisingly large number of people here in town who think that we're about 8,000 people. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been 8,000 since about maybe 1998. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to plan for or to deal with growth than it is for declining population. I think we really need to be cognizant of that when we go forward. Mm-hmm. It's how we're going to do that. How we're going to get more people.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're probably pushing 5 minutes here, but one of the things that I'm involved in is through council is the High Tech Task Force, which was given a mandate by council to sit down and come up with some strategies for how we can attract high tech people. And often one of the points that's come out of the conversation that we've had is often that's individual people, like in the office here at Revelstoke Mountain Collab. I share a space with the programmer, and he works internationally doing coding. We have a couple remote working accountants who one of them works out of Calgary, another one works online. We have 2-3 other remote workers, so that's one of the ways. I mean, a lot of these people have good paying jobs that bring money into the economy, and that's one of the ways out there. I actually posted when I was at the UBCM conference about an Open for Business Awards that I went to at the UBCM, and Mayor Colin Bazran of Kelowna was there talking about what they had done to attract the tech sector to the community, and they've been phenomenally successful at that, and they really put an open strategy out there. We had Pilar Portela, who is the CEO of Accelerate Okanagan, come up and meet with with some of the members of the high tech task force about options for accelerating businesses or small businesses related to technology. It's not high tech like we're manufacturing microchips or something. It's all sorts of jobs that people work online or other small business and entrepreneurships, and I think that's an opportunity. And like I said in response to your question before, I think it's about diversity, and I don't think they necessarily oftentimes they don't even compete with each other at all. It's just about attracting a diverse economy to the community. So.
Well, one component of one thing we have that can help us in this regard is our landscape and our lifestyle. Well, of course, the big drawback is the fact that there's no airport. We're going to have to start thinking about that, and that's going to be a tough one because there are going to be a lot of people down at the south end of town who won't want jets coming in over the flats. Landing.
Some improvements have been made to the Revelstoke Airport, especially 3 or 4 years ago. They put in new nav equipment, and they also have expanded the turnaround area at one end of the runway. I think people, I don't know about jets. I think Revelstoke is supportive of having some sort of an air service here. I think that's a goal for a lot of people to have there. And frankly, we've got a small runway. The planes that land now aren't there's nothing going to be much bigger than lands there. And the struggle is actually to get flights here. So we would be lucky if it's once a week, or twice a week or 3 times a week to start. So my gut feeling is I don't foresee it being a really big problem in terms of volume. It's not 20 flights a day. That would be nice, but for some people, in the tourism sector at least. But I mean, 1 or 2 planes a week. I mean, we get way more than that in for firefighting in the summertime, and that would be probably seasonal to start with. So. Anyways, kind of rambling on here.
Well, that's okay.
Didn't have a long one like the Queen, but also thank you very much for following along here today. And thanks, David, for allowing me the opportunity.
Pleasure, Aaron. Always.